All right. Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us all here today. Today's shiur should be Le'ilu Nishmas, our dear friend Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov, as well as my dear aunt Rivka Bas Gavriel Tzvi, and for Zaidi, Reb Shmuel ben Yosef Dov HaKohen, and B'schos l'Refuah Shalema B'karov Meshalom ben Sarah Rachel, Miriam Basara, and Yair Yeshia ben Chaya Tara. Today, we are on page 35 in the Or HaVigdor, for those who are following along. And today we're going to be talking about the fifth advantage that a Baal Bitachon has over the alchemist. Now, just so you guys recall, the alchemist, what is the alchemist's purpose? The alchemist's purpose is seemingly this simple life, very easy life. Why? Because he's kind of comfortable understanding that he has all the money that you can print because he knows how to make less expensive material into gold. And that's the idea, that the concept over here is nothing more than just having a very simple, easy-going life, right? And the Shaar Habitachon, we're learning that having full Bitachon in Hashem is also giving us that full, easy life that we're looking for. V'hachamishi. Now, the fifth advantage of the Baal Bitachon is Shabal HaKemir Tachas Yira V'fachad HaMalachta Min HaGadol V'Adakotan Shaba'am. Is that the alchemist, because of his profession, is always in fear and dread of everyone, from the greatest in the land to the lowest in the land. Now, it's similar to what we spoke before, that he's afraid of the government, he's afraid people might get him. And over there it was talking about because, they'll find out what he does and they'll come and punish him or they'll take revenge on him. Over here, it's quite literally, he's just afraid of everybody. And just in general, because of what he does for a living, he's in constant state of fear, and not necessarily fear of one specific incident of where he sold something to people who found out that it's not real gold, or the government found out that he's minting counterfeits. But here he's just in constant fear of everybody. He's afraid that someone's going to discover his secret and report him to the government, and then certainly if people were to know about him, he's going to get dragged out and condemned, and so he lives in constant state of fear of being exposed. But v'haboteach be'elokim, as for the man who trusts in Hashem, meaning he's known and as one who trusts Hashem, and different than the alchemist. This guy is going out and is telling everybody, we are a Baal Bitachon. That's what this group is over here on this shiur every morning. We go out and we are proud to be someone that is working on ourselves to be a full Baal Bitachon in Hashem. He will be treated with respect by everyone, including the greatest and the most honored people. Hashem will cause people to respect the man who trusts in him, because this person is a very well-liked person. We are going to see later on in the Shaar Habitachon that a person who is a full Baal Bitachon, everybody likes that guy. And we're going to see a bunch of reasons why, but one of those reasons is because we can trust him. He's not here for any ulterior motive. And that was like the main context of that. And that's why over here he's talking about it, that when you're a Baal Bitachon, contrary to the alchemist, you are so comfortable with yourself, so proud of being the Baal Bitachon that you are, that you not only hide it from everyone, unlike the alchemist who hides it, but you go out and you boast about it, and you want to talk about it, you want to encourage others to do the same. Even animals and inanimate objects will seek his goodwill and will want to do whatever it is in the best interest of this person. When a man trusts in Hashem, Shaar Habitachon says, he can be confident that things will always turn out in the best possible way. As it says in Tehillim, Yoshev b'seisa elyon, the one who sits in the refuge of the Most High, ad achirisai, to its end, the entire mitzvah is devoted to how Hashem protects those who trust him. It says, Yoshev b'seisa elyon b'tzei shada yisleinim, the one who sits in his refuge, the Most High. And he goes on to talk about further, b'sheish tzarais, when 6 forms of distress confront you, yatzilecho, he will rescue you. Uvesheva, and even when the 7th one comes, this is even though troubles keep on persisting, that you have 1 time, 10 times, 20 times, it keeps on persisting, that Hashem will preserve and rescue you. And no harm will touch you. In a time of famine, he will redeem you of your death. At the end of the subject. And he's trying to say over here is that a person who is a Baal Bitachon, he's constantly understanding that everything is in Hashem's hand, and constantly understanding that everything's in His good, and he's not afraid of it. And therefore, no matter how many times he hits rock bottom, he's still happy with life, and he understands that that's what life is about. And in summary, the Rav Av says, Chovos HaLevavos refers us to a series of psukim in various places that speak about the very important benefits granted to people who trust in Hashem, because this attitude, this understanding of how to behave is so precious that it's rewarded greatly by Hashem throughout a man's life and also in his afterlife. And you're going to see later that a person, not only is he doing Hashem's will, but you change your whole life. You have a much easier life when you do this. And unlike the alchemist who's constantly living in fear, you're open, you're free from that fear. And the Rav Av has over here two suggestions that we're going to talk about over here. Two suggestions on how to acquire Bitachon. And he says that before we proceed with the entire, because we're still in the introduction of Shaar Habitachon, and before we proceed and further it's worth giving some guidance on how to acquire the Bitachon. So he says there's two things. He says, first suggestion is that before you proceed with any activity, ask Hashem for help. Let's say you're a salesman, right? And you're going to have a meeting with someone. He says, before you get into the sales meeting, you can say in any language, Yiddish, English, Hebrew, Spanish, doesn't matter. Sign language, doesn't matter. Say, Hashem, I'm going into this meeting. Please help me be successful in this meeting. Let me get the sale. And let's say you want to learn a page of Gemara. Same thing. You say, Hashem, I'm going into this sugya. Just help me understand it. If you're going on a date, say, Hashem, hopefully this can work out well for me. Anything that you do, even if you go into the store, something small. Hashem, I'm going on the store, help me get there safely, positively, get what I need. I shouldn't forget anything that my wife asked me for. I tend to do that a lot. But that's the kind of thing that he wants to do. He says you should get used to asking Hashem for help. Because asking Hashem for help in even the smallest things and the things that we do every single day, what it does is it triggers in our mind to understand that everything is in Hashem's hands. And so when we do these little acts of asking Hashem for every every little thing, before we do it, we say, Hashem, please help me. Hashem, help me get through this. Hashem, help me get through traffic. Hashem, help me get through this business deal. Whatever it is, we start cementing in our mind that Hashem is the one who carries out every single act, every decree that happens to us is from Hashem. Now that's the first suggestion. The second suggestion, he says, is that when you complete that act, when you finish that sales meeting or that trip or that shidduch date or whatever it is that you did, thank Hashem, regardless of the outcome. If the business meeting didn't go as you wanted it to go, you didn't get a sale out of it, thank Hashem. Thank Hashem for putting you in the position that you didn't get it. For whatever reason, it was for your benefit. Understand that. And so these two things put together, what the exercise does, that when you practice them every single day, it's small little tidbits that help you get closer to gaining that bitachon that we're looking for. Because we start realizing that every single thing in our day is carried out by Hashem. Everything is in His hands. So if you go into your day with every single task, that Hashem, please help me complete this task, and then after you complete the task, regardless of the outcome of it, you say, thank you, Hashem, for the opportunity. Thank you, Hashem, for the outcome, especially if it's something that comes out the way exactly the way you wanted it to. You can't get even better than that. And both you and Hashem both agreed on the same thing. You make sure that you start thanking. Say the thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem, for the positive outcome. And that's going to start helping you build a stronger structure, stronger roots to gain the Bitachon that we're looking to gain throughout the entire series of Shaar Habitachon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us all here today, and I love you all.